Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. In the yesterday's class, actually, uh, we have covered about Unit 1 in the Human Resources Management, but actually the class is not live on the YouTube. So let us, in this particular class, give a brief explanation about the previous class, and also we will complete the today's present class also, so that you will have acquaintance on both the aspects of that. So actually, we will go for the screen share, and then you will understand about that particular aspect. Before going to that, let me share the PPT on that, and then we will be able to follow. Just 1 minute, and then we will proceed further. Students, I request all the students to join for the class, and so that you will be able to grasp some at least information on that, and that will help you a lot for the scoring and other aspects of your career. That is very, very important. Actually, the human resources management and the aspect is basically covering about how the human resources management, I think is the syllabus content. So the syllabus aspect is sent again back to me. Please stop. No, okay, there on this. Thank you very much for the university for giving me this particular opportunity in enhancing the skills of the citizens, students of this particular university. Thank you. Now we are going to see this particular aspects relating to human resources management and how it will be, what it will be, and so on. So actually the human resources management basically talks about the process of understanding how the resources, that is human resources, are managed, and how best you can go with the management of the human beings for the purpose of achieving the organizational goals and organizational success, and so on and so forth. And in this particular process, actually the syllabus is containing about the totally 17 to 18 lessons, which is the core aspects of the human resources and how to acquire the objectives of the human resources. These aspects are to be understood very clearly in this particular process. And this particular syllabus is also covering about the process of managing the human resources. That means how the resources are, that is human resources are to be pulled up, and what are the various sources, and how to select the human being, that how to select the employees in this particular organization, and how to train them, what are the various recruitment processes, and how best you can select the right person for the right job. All these aspects are covered in this particular subject that is intended for learning to the MCOM final year students. Basically, MCOM final year students whenever they go to any specific organization, they must be able to understand what is the process of that one, and how the human being, gives their contributions towards the organization and achievement of the organizational goals, and so on and so forth. In this particular process, let us have a screen share, and with that, let us proceed with this particular element. Then, in this, no, just So I hope you are all able to see the screen now, and at the same time, you will be able to understand.
ఆ డబ్బా ఏది ఆ డబ్బా ఎలా ఉంటుంది పుయ్యి తీసేసారు
Right. Thanks a lot. So in this particular syllabus content, actually MCOM, that is final year syllabus, is given to us in this process of that human resources management. And what is the introduction of human resources management in this? What is the introduction of human resources management? What are the features, components, and other elements of human resources management? Nature and scope of HRM, role of human resources management function, and what are the activities of human resources management? And some dimensions of that. This is covering about unit 1. And in the unit 2, that is how the organization is to be designed, and what are the various personal policies, organization, and also the human relationship. These are the various aspects that we are going to cover in this particular session. So, so organizational design, organization structure, what are the various structures of the organization? These aspects are going to be in this particular point now. And development of human resources in the India as well as abroad, that is basically you are supposed to learn about evolution of human resources management trends in India, and voluntary retirement schemes, and challenges of human resources management in India. That is, these are the various aspects that you will cover in this particular aspect. And various contemporary issues in the human resources management. That is one, human resources audit, human resources information system, and all the aspects that are going to be in the particular session. Then unit number 5 is strategic human resources management, which is talking about the which is talking about the right. These are talking about the strategic HRM practices and strategic level planning in the human resources management. This is entirely covering about block 1. And in this, actually, even though the syllabus is very heavy, actually block 2, block 3, block 4, those all the 4 blocks, 5 blocks are there in this. The most important aspects that we are going to cover for the examination point of view and other aspects. Now, let me start with that particular element. Now, actually understand about what is exactly the meaning of human resources, how better human resources are going to be played. So, in general practice, we can understand that management of any other resource is very easy than human resources. You can manage capital well, you can manage the land, labor, organization, and all these aspects. But whereas, what are the resources? That is financial resources, mechanical resources, and other resources can be managed. But whereas, when coming to the management of the human resources, it is a very tough task because human element is having multiple dimensions in this particular aspect. Whenever we are talking about the whenever we are talking about the human resources aspect, so each person will have its own individual systems. If we buy a machine and if we buy the second machine of the same type, all the machines are having similar and also the same attitude and same components, etc. But when you hire two people in the same organization for the same practice by the two people, then all the two people will act in a different manner, and they will have their own different characteristics and so on and so forth. This is another important element what you have to understand. Then how to give a training. So when just employee is appointed, it is not sufficient enough unless you give the proper training to the host live on YouTube. What? So when you give the training to the employee, then only he will be able to give successful, efficient working environment. Otherwise, he cannot. So these aspects are very, very essential in this particular aspect. Now, coming to the other aspects now, let me come with the PPT what we have shared yesterday, and we will cover it today in a brief running manner, and then we will proceed for the next aspect. So that is human resources management, that is paper 10. Then coming to this particular unit number 1, this is human resources management overall view already. This is one. Then coming to the other one, that is what is the meaning and objectives of the human resources is the very, very important characteristic nature here. Yes, thank you. Twenty-three February. Right. So the meaning and objectives of the human resources are to be taken into consideration. Managerial function, actually HRM is basically a managerial function. It facilitates the effective utilization of the manpower in achieving organizational goals. The main objective of the HRM is to understand about the various aspects relating to the main important how to manage the human resources and what are the various aspects that are relating to that. That is guiding organization and providing the good manpower, and all these aspects are very, very important. And development of manpower skills is the important aspect. When once an employee is appointed to develop the skills, that is very, very important to manage. Then development of managing of the change. Already I told you about this particular aspect in the yesterday's class. That is change management. People directly, deliberately don't accept the changes. Even a small change also, it leads to the greater resistance from the employees. They basically want a sticking environment and what they are providing, what they are doing, and they will follow the same type and same culture in that. Then recognizing and satisfying the individual needs. Every employee needs to satisfy himself, and he wants to satisfy himself rather than satisfying the organizational needs. Organization basically wants about the various aspects from the individual employee. So each one will hold a specific responsibility, and what they can yield from the particular employee is well designed by the organizational environment. Whereas employee also will have his own individual needs like social well-being, welfare, salaries, and so on and so forth. How to synchronize these two important elements, that is very, very essential. The individual organizational ability, individual organizational goals, and individual goals, organizational goals are to be completely syncing of these two is not possible, but the major extent, if they are able to be synchronized, then the organization will can achieve the benefits. Next, coming to the features of the HRM aspect, there is comprehensive managerial function. So HRM is not simple. Comprehensive, as I told you, you can manage any other resources very easily than the human resources, because as the complexity of the individual is highly is very high in the nature. So managerial function is comprehensive. So then how to motivate the employee, how to train them, how to give directions to them, that is all comes under this particular program. And various HRM, that is basically people oriented. Human resources management basically connected with the people environment. So how to manage people, how to recruit people, how to select the people, and so on and so forth. And task oriented. Human resources management is basically connected with the task environment. What is the final element is to be achieved? That is very, very essential in this particular aspect. What is the objective? What is the goal achievement? That is what is the task to be performed by the individual? How the task is related to the organizational goal? These aspects are to be understood. And developmental oriented, that is already known to you, and human resources management is directly related to the development of the organization, development of the individual, and development of the society also in totality. Future oriented, what happened in the previous past is not required in case of human resources management, but it is always connected with the future and what will be the requirement of the human being, what will be the human resources requirement, what is at present, how many are there, and what will be the retirement number of the employees and so on and so forth. And human resources management is basically global in nature. What is the global? Nowadays, employees are recruited at the global level, not Indian level or a regional level. In earlier days, we used to employ an employee for a particular region. He used to take care of that particular surrounding area, geographical area one. But nowadays, global heads, global divisional people. So every employee needs to be globally capable of working in the organization. Next is continuous function. Human resources management is basically a continuous function, whereas all the activities in continuous nature and right from the selection of the employee or right from identification of the need for the human being and finally when the employee is retiring, superannuation, then how he will be given compensation, all these aspects are also to be continuous in nature and challenging in nature. That's already we are discussing a lot. Human being resources management is highly challenging nature when compared to the other management like production management, technology management, financial management, and so on and so on. And next, coming to the other slide, that is nature and scope of the human resources management. So, four main areas of human resources management include, that is procurement, development, maintenance, and control. So procurement is basically developing or recruiting the people. Development is the individuals or developing of the individual employees in the organization. And maintenance, that is how better you can manage the people. And controlling is not only giving punishments, but it is also to coordinate the people, what they are performing. Is it achieving to the, or is it connected to the organizational goals? Or is it directly linked up with organizational goals and so on and so forth. According to Indian Institute of Personnel Management, it is basically labor as a personal aspect. Labor as a personal aspect. When human resources management is basically connected with the personal aspects of the individuals. So, what individual needs, what is the various facilities he requires, what type of compensation packages he may expect. Like that, it is totally revolving around the labor management, and so on. Next, coming to the welfare aspect. How better you can provide the welfare of to the employees is also important. And industrial relations aspect is another one. So how better you are managing the industrial relations. A poor industrial, sorry, a poor industrial relations always leads to the demotivation of the organizational goals. And the organizational goals cannot be achieved in this particular manner. So how to resolve the relationship between, how to resolve the conflicts between the employee and employee, employer-employee, like that and so on. These are the very other important aspect which is to be covered under the scope of the human resources management. Now coming to the functions and activities of human resources management. Actually, human resources management is having two basic functions. One is managerial functions, second one is operational functions. First one is planning of the human resources. That is also called as HR planning or manpower planning. On this particular topic, a separate unit is there. In that unit, we will on that unit, you will be able to understand about the manpower planning aspect in that. Then second one is organizing. Whenever you are talking about organizational aspect, whenever you are talking about organizational aspect, then definitely how you can organize. That is organization. Actually, as I told you, it is a group of people. It's a group of people working together for the success of the organization. Whenever we are saying that organization is a group of people working together, that means when we say that organizing, that means all the employees put together, they must be in a proper direction, proper authority line. Who is giving authority to? who is giving authority to whom, and who is giving directions to whom, all these aspects are to be understood. Then controlling aspect. So as I told you, the controlling is basically comes under the process of comparing the results of one person with the what they are expected to, and this one. Right. Then coming to the then controlling aspect, already I told you. Then the acquisition. This already we have discussed about that one. How the employees are to be acquired, and what are the various processes of how you can recruit the employees, how you can acquire the employees into the organization, how you can get the employees into the organization. These are the various important elements you have to take into consideration. Then coming to that, another one, that is integration of employees towards the organization culture. So every organization will have its own culture. Every organization will have its own climate. Then organizational climate and individual climate are different. So the people will come with the different directions to the organization. How better they can do? What is the integration of the employee to the organizational requirements and so on. Then maintenance activity and how better they can be maintained in the organization. And lastly, fifth one, operational activity, that is compensation. This is a crucial area where there is a lot of conflicting interests in that. Organization, basically nowadays in the modern systems, the management wants to get work done at a lower salaries and all. They wants to get more work than what they pay. This is general nature because of the profit tendency towards that. So how to fix the compensation? What best the compensation can be paid? How to fix the compensation? All these aspects are basically operating functions. On what is the basis of providing the salary? What are the other benefits that are to be provided to the employee? These are the various important elements the human resources management uses to take care. Then coming to the next one, these are the various aspects that what we covered in the previous class till now. So we started with the syllabus content. Then we explained about what are the various meaning, what are the various aspects that are related to human resource management. What is the meaning, objectives of human resources, then features of the HRM, and then nature and scope of HRM activity, and then completing the functions and activities of the HRM. These are the various aspects what we are able to understand now. So then with that we have completed the first element of that. Then we are going to take up about the human resources planning aspect, in which we know about the various aspects related to human resources planning. Organizational design, job analysis and job design, definition of human resources management, planning, purpose and objectives of human resources planning, benefits of human resources planning, factors affecting human resources planning, process of human resources planning, bottlenecks of human resources planning are the main important contents in this particular unit. Then out of that, let us go with the job analysis and job design. Actually, for the purpose of taking an employee into the organization, taking an employee into the organization, first of all, we must have a clarity about what is the job requirement, what is the what employee is to do, what the employee is expected to do, and how he has to perform the activity. These are all the various important aspects that he has to cover. Then job analysis is the process of studying and collecting the information related to the operations and responsibilities of the specific job. Let us cover first important aspects of the entire syllabus, because it's a large volume in the syllabus is there in that. So let us go by important contents first, and then we will go elaborate discussion on the other aspects also. So job analysis is the process of studying and collecting information related to the operations and responsibilities of the specific job. So it is the study of information related to the various activities that a person has to perform. What are the responsibilities of the person of a specific job? Suppose a purchase manager is there. What is his job? What is the roles he has to perform? What should be his accountability? What is the various activities that are to be carried out? All these aspects are to be understood before selecting a person as a production manager. Then job description. What is the job description? It is a statement of facts and duties of the job. So, what is job? How it is to be done? What are the various qualities required for the person? These are all job analysis nature. Whereas, what is the actually responsibilities of a person? What are the actual duties of the person in that particular job? That is given by the job description. Job description is different. Job analysis is different. Job description basically tells us about the facts and responsibilities of the job. What are the various consequences? What is the responsibilities he has to perform? What are the duties he has to carry out? These aspects are given in a clear written statement that is called as a job description. Then how to carry out the job analysis process? This is a very, very important question as far as examination point of view is concerned. So what is the job analysis process and how the job analysis is carried out? This is the most important aspect to be covered in this particular class. Step one, collect organizational information. So before carrying out the job analysis, you must first understand what is the organization and what type of organization it is. Whether it is a trading organization or a service sector organization or any what type of organization structure it is having, and so on and so forth. Then organizing job analysis program. When you are organizing the job analysis program, carry out the program and what organizing job analysis program, that is how you are carrying out job analysis. What is the various subsections of the job analysis program, and then which type of jobs are to be studied. So which department is to be studied first of all, whether finance department you want to study the job analysis, or HR department, or otherwise production department you want to study the job. Like that you must classify. Then next, select the representative jobs for the analysis. So when you selected a particular department, then select a particular job for the purpose of it. So if you want to study in the finance department, take a representative job, say for example, finance manager job analysis. Like that you come for it. First you are doing organizational analysis. That means what is the type of organization? Then organizing job analysis program. That means in which department you want to make out organizational analysis. Then selecting representatives of the jobs for that, representative jobs for that particular aspect. Then what type of aspects you want to study in that particular element, then collect the information about that particular job. So when you selected the job of a finance manager, collect the information about that, what is the job of a finance manager and all. Collect the entire information. Then prepare a job description. That is very another important element. So when you collected the information, what are the duties? Already I told you just now, job description basically talking about the duties and responsibilities of the employee. So what are the various duties of the finance manager? What are the various responsibilities for the finance manager, and so on. Then develop job specification. What is job specification again? Job specification basically talks about what are the required skill set that is required. What are the various qualifications you should acquire? What are the various qualifications a person must have to be appointed as a finance manager? All these specifications must be there in that. That develop the job specification. Then developing employee specifications also. So what type of skills, attitude he must have, and all these aspects he must be able to understand. Then coming to the next one. Then methods of job analysis. This is another important area where job analysis methods are to be observed. First one is said to be observation method. In the case of observation method, how you will do that? Just that is another one. Then What type of job analysis matter is to be very, very important in this particular. Then observation method is the first method of job analysis. When you are observing a particular person while doing the job, you can understand what are the skills he is performing, what qualifications he need to give, and so on and so forth. So just by physical observation, you can analyze the job very clearly. That is called a direct interaction with the person who is doing this particular job. Then, second one is interviewing method. Second, while carrying out the job, you will interact with the employee and you will ask about various questions, whether directly or indirectly, and you will try to understand what are the various jobs he is performing, skills he is using, and so on and so forth. Then questionnaire method is another one. When you are presenting a questionnaire, when you are presenting a questionnaire, so in that questionnaire, a set of questions will be there, which are basically surrounding about the, uh, job and its job culture, and what are the various skills he is performing, and so on and so forth. In a set of questions which are interlinked, basically questionnaire method basically talks about interlinkage of the questions. When interlinked questions are basically given in the questionnaire aspect. Then coming to the checklist. Questionnaire and checklist automatically both are almost similar. And but whereas in the questionnaire, a detailed description will be given, whereas in the checklist, instead of detailed questionnaire, in the checklist, only answers will be right or wrong. There is two options will be there in that. That is called a checklist model. Then coming to the log records. When log records are the another important way of understanding the job requirements. So log records, if you study, and every moment, every time when an employee is performing the job, he will identify what type of activities he will write in the logbook when he is carrying a particular activity. That is, say, for example, in the case of finance manager, in case of works manager, and every person when they enter the log record, automatically you will identify what is the sequence of the job that they are performing, and so on. And next one is critical incidents method. Critical incidents method. Instead of selecting all the activities, analyzing them in a broader area and taking a lot of data, that summarized data actually, and finally analyzing that comprehensive data, that's also the difficult one. So instead of that, you can go by critical incidents method also. Critical incidents method basically tell us about in certain situations which are critical in nature, how the employee is performing. Say, for example, if a sales manager, when sales is increasing drastically, all of a sudden, how he is able to tackle that one? And if a sales is all of a sudden there is a sales increase in the organization, then how the production manager is able to tackle that situation, how he is able to bring out that particular product, and all these incidents are to be understood very clearly. Then technical conferences is also another one. So by conducting technical conferences, various technical people, they will give about they will give the description about the job and so on and so forth. These are the various methods of the job analysis. Actually, frankly speaking, I have summarized it in a very brief manner, but students are required to give reading elaborately from the material book, and observation method, interview method, questionnaire, checklist, log records, critical incidents method, and teleconferences. This is an important question for them. Then coming to another important aspect, definition of a human resources planning, right? When job analysis is complete, then we have to go for the planning of the human resources. Actually, what is the main important element here to understand is that human resources planning basically talks about the process of striking a balance between the manpower resources and need and acquisition. Striking a balance between manpower resources need and acquired. That means what is already acquired, what is the need for the human resource. How many people are required, how much is already there, and how many are needed for that. What is the gap between them? So how to strike a balance between them? All these aspects that comes under the human resources planning aspect. When we are talking about human resources planning, basically you have to understand that it is also a planning process. What you understood? That is what to do, how to do, when to do, where to do, how much to do, like general planning activity. Same way, human resources planning also covers about how many required, who are required, how to recruit them, how many people are there in the organization right now with the same skills? Is there any person by means of promotion or by means of any other method can we adapt them for the higher level jobs? All these aspects can be considered. So, in simple language, we can say that human resources planning basically strike a balance between existing human resources and acquisition of human resources and what is the need of further recruiting the people in the organization. Then what are the various factors affecting the human resources planning is another important area where you have to understand here. So what are the various factors? So basically when you are, this is not recruitment process. Don't get confused about this one. So this is not recruitment process. This is only a planning process. In the planning process, what are the various factors that are affecting? So first one is corporate planning and a growth cycle. What is the corporate plan? That means what type of diversity it wants to take out. So to what extent the firm is going to go for the further production activity or further sales activity, further divisional activity, and so on. What is the growth cycle? What is the growth stage of the organization? Is it in the basic stage, or otherwise it is the induction stage, or it is in the mature stage, or it is highly mature stage, or it is in the decline stage? So, in which growth stage of the cycle it is the organization is existing now? That is one factor. Second important factor is that outsourcing. Nowadays, almost all the companies they are outsourcing. Even in foreign government, also foreign companies also they are outsourcing work to the various outsourcing companies. Outsourcing is basically a process of giving the work to the other person who is not an employee of the organization. That is called outsourcing. When you give a particular activity to the other agency which can carry it out. Completely, it's not a part of the organization at all. So then in such a case, it can easily carry out that. That is called as outsourcing. Then environmental uncertainties also will be there in that. So when you are talking about environmental uncertainty, what is the effect of environment over the organization that is to be understood? How the environmental activities are to be influenced on this and these aspects. Say for example, natural calamities also often give a challenge to the human resources activity. So in such a case, shortage of production activity, then power supplies cut off, and then certain problems arise. Then you may require higher level of production needs. Then finally, how many people are to be recruited and so on. Then coming to the nature of job filling. So when you want to fill up a particular job, then how how to fill up the job? Then you have to plan in such a case of that. If you are filling a particular lower level employee, what is the process? If you are recruiting, if you want to recruit a middle level person, what is the job process? Job filling the process. If you are going for a corporate head or a vice president, then what is the human resources planning aspect? These are the various aspects that needs to be understood. And nature of information available about the particular job is also major factor which affects the HR planning process. How much challenging is the job? That is also another important area you have to understand. So these are the various factors that are basically connected with the HR planning aspect. Then coming to the another one, process of human resources planning aspect. Process of human resources planning is that. So we understood about what are the factors till now. Then we go for the process, how it is to be done, and what are the various aspects that are to be considered while while going with the human resources planning and other aspects in this. Now, Any student? I request the students also to join the offline classes. It is totally one side. Now the classes we are taking out with the various clear various objectives, right from the technical support and all. Whereas, but the number of students who are joining are no zero. They are actually when we are putting all these efforts. I request students also to come and join in this particular session so that they will be benefited directly. They can understand and they can come across in this particular. They have if they have any doubts, they can come across and they can chart it in this chat box also. Language is not a barrier. I request at least a few students to join the class instead of following the live tube lectures always. So then process of human resources planning and organizational analysis. So first you carry out organizational analysis and that is what type of organization we are going to plan. So in this process, analyzing the objectives of manpower planning and at the same time, in the case of organizational analysis, we have to carry out about what are the various factors influencing at the organizational level also. What are the various factors that are influencing at the organizational level? How better they can, what are the favorable factors and what are the unfavorable factors for the organization. So which type of sector it is, what is the size of the organization, all these aspects must be considered for the purpose of this one. Analyzing the objectives of the manpower planning. What is the main objective of that? Is it increasing the size of the manpower, or is it manpower planning is for the purpose of filling the gap, or is it the manpower planning is to give strength to the human manpower where specific skills are required, and so on and so forth. So, what is basically the objective of manpower planning is the main important characteristic nature for the purpose of this work, and forecasting the demand for the manpower. So, normally, forecasting the demand for the manpower is an important area. That is, what may be the requirement of the human manpower in future, in short term. That is also important. Then what type of what may be the number of manpower resources that is to be filled up in the organization. Next, forecasting the supply of manpower is another important area. So when you are talking about the supply of manpower, in certain situations you may not find the right person for the right job. Then it becomes very big problem for the organization to select a person out of the 100 people waiting for the jobs, but at the same time there is no single person is going to be selected for this one. So in this particular activity, what is the supply of manpower? So actually in the very recent newspaper, the number of chartered accountants and number of doctors which are said to be in very short supply in the future. So if a person wants to be a chartered accountant or a person wants to be a doctor, then definitely it needs time. So what will be the supply of the specific skilled persons like that? Then matching the demand and supply. Matching the demand and the supply. That is also very important. What type of manpower we need to recruit and what type of supply of manpower is available, these two are to be considered in a broader area. And next one, review and monitoring process of that. So how to review the manpower process? So these are the other important monitoring of the process. So monitoring HR planning is a very crucial aspect. Whether how best or how genuinely you are able to plan for the resources or how accurately you are able to plan for the resources. If you recruit a person or if you plan for a recruitment of a particular level of employees, then tomorrow morning it will become a burden to the employee, a burden to the organization if your manpower planning is wrong. At the same time, if your manpower planning goes in a wrong sense automatically you need short false, you will be in the you will be in the short supply of the manpower of a specific college. So always you should review and monitor the process of carrying out the human resources planning element. These are the various important elements. So to come up with this, the process of human resources manpower, organization analysis is important. That is what type of organization you are going to. Then analyze the objectives of manpower planning, with what objective you are carrying out. Then what is the demand of the manpower in your organization at present? What is the supply of the manpower from the society? What type of people, how many people will come? And what is the demand supply matching in this process? And review of the monitoring in the process is another important area. Then coming to the this one, these are another important aspects which normally covered in this particular element. So let us briefly sum up about the various aspects what we covered in this today's class, and then we will go further. Next, coming to the, so in this organizational design we have not covered actually, and directly we have entered into job analysis and job design stage. So organizational design is another important aspect which you have to understand in this particular block. So organizational design is a process of shaping the way of organizations are structured and run. So what is the shape of the organization? Actually, here organization shape does not come under, sorry, it is not the process of shaping the organization way, that is how they are structured and how they are run. These are not these are not meaning about the physical infrastructure, but is what is the way of what is the design of the building we are not required. Whereas design of the organization process we want. That means what is the level of authority and what are the various structure in the organizational design, how many levels of authority are there, who is responsible to whom, and like that, what is the line of authority, span of supervision, span of control, all these aspects are to be understood. It involves many different aspects, like many aspects of life at work, that is how the people are at work, then including team formations, what is the teamwork, and what type of people must be in the team, and what type of skills they should perform, and all. What is the shift pattern, whether it is a continuous day shift only, or it is required to have multiple shifts, and so on. And lines of reporting, as I told you now, who is reporting to whom, that is very, very important. Decision making procedures are also important. So, what is the decision making process? Whether it is one line decision making process or demographical, or sorry, it is democratic style of decision making process, whether two-way communication process or one-way communication process, all these communication channels are to be set by what way the organization is going to receive and give the information, and so on and so forth. Actually, in this process, there are four types of organizational designs are there, and out of that, very, very popularly known, that is functional structure. Four types of organizational structures are there. One is a functional structure, multi-divisional structure, flat structure, matrix structure, and also circular structure, team-based structure, network structures, and so on. So, in that first functional structure of organization, in the case of functional structure of organization, so each organization is going to be given as on the basis of function. That is said to be functional structure, basically talks about the production function, marketing function, say that is finance function, and so on. So broader area, human resources, functional area, that is manpower recruitment, and that. Whether each functional head is subdivided into, each functional classification is also subdivided into various subgroups. Like for example, finance manager. Finance is the first function. When finance is that general manager finance, below that general manager, additional general manager, deputy general manager, like that. So accounts officers, like the different levels of authority is established. Multi-divisional, when the organization is having multiple divisions, then different divisions are to be set in the different dimensions. Flat and matrix structures are that flat structure basically tells us about the different platforms in that, different levels of activities that are present. And matrix structure gives us about this one. On these structures, we will discuss about, and again in the next class about this one. So divisional structure, matrix structure, and all. And these are the about various important aspects in the unit 6 of this particular syllabus. And thank you very much for your patience listening all the way. And once again, I request the students to join the class to clarify them. Thank you very much.